Okay, why we carry Fender. Fender is, I am a Fender fanboy, 100%. I have to admit it. I love Fender. I've always loved Fender. That's mainly why we carry Fender, besides the fact that they're what I think the best guitars for your money and some of the best guitars for outrageous amounts of money in the world. We'll get into that in a minute too. But first, Fender. My time and history with Fender. As a kid, my heroes were all Fender players. Well, not all. They were Fender and Les Paul players. There was, Eric Clapton in his Fender phase. I saw that first in a weird way. And then I had to go back and see him in the Les Paul phases and the Gibsons and the SGs and everything. But then Jimi Hendrix, oh my goodness, Fender guy 100%. And I was a young, impressionable kid. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, another Fender guy, not so over as a child, so I had to have Fenders. And I grew up, in my formative guitar playing years were in the 90s. I wouldn't say those were Fender's best years. But those are the guitars I wanted to play. And I didn't really understand what a Les Paul was at this point when I'm a young idiot teenager. So I had Fenders. I had the Strat Ultra at some point, not the new Strat Ultras, but like the old ones with the lace sensor pickups in them. And my parents bought me one of those once, and it was like the nicest Fender they had. And like, I was getting ready to go off to the music high school, it's like Fame, North Carolina School of the Arts. Another story. But so I had this cool Strat. It was amazing. It weighs like 12 pounds, I think. It's like a 70 Strat, but like with lace sensor pickups in it. Really heavy. But I still loved it because it's Fender and it's awesome. And it's got locking tuners. Oh, I hate all these things. But for this thing, it's funny, but I still have it too because my parents bought it. But I loved it, and it was my guitar. And as I grew up and I became a professional musician, I ended up switching over to Les Pauls. I love those too. And I played Les Pauls, and I had a Tele that I had for my sort of spare because I figured that those two live together. And when I was touring and whatnot, and I was touring with a gentleman named Richard Lloyd from the band Television. I was his rhythm guitar player. I got to play lead like twice a show, but I realized he was so much better than me. There was no point in that. And he wanted to see the dumb idiot in the back play the lead when Richard Lloyd is up there. That's what you paid to see. Man, that was great learning. That's a whole other video. We'll talk about it some other time. Subscribe to our channel. You'll see it. I got to play his. He had a 61 Strat, his custom with the custom paint job, and I would get to sort of tweak it and check it and sound check it before shows because he was like, "Hey, do you mind doing this?" I'm like, no, I don't mind doing that. And that awesome priceless guitar, and so I would do that, and I'd never played a guitar ever that good. When I held it, I knew it was like this Wayne's World moment. I was like, this is a real Fender. I've never held a real Fender. I didn't know this was a thing because what young teenager has ever, I wasn't a teenager, I was in my 20s at this point, but what young human still gets to play guitar at that level? It played great, it sounded great, the neck was like butter. It was like a stick of butter that was melting in your hand that somehow didn't melt. It was a weird, I was thinking Wachowski brothers moment, sisters moment. And it was unbelievable. And it changed my life. So from then I was like, oh God, I have to get Fenders. So, and then I went down this Fender trail and I played some Japanese built Fenders from the 80s who Richard also had. So I took those on tour with us sometimes and played those instead of my own guitars because they sound great with the AC30. And I'm totally taking the Fender pill again at this point. I was going down this journey and then I had to then I played by accident for the first time a Fender custom shop guitar, and that just ruined my brain entirely. I'm so upset I've played it because once I did, I could never go back. Now I've played what I have to say is one of the greatest built guitars. It ruined me. It was a 1960 Daphne Blue rosewood board, just fell in love with it. I bought it, it's behind me somewhere, I think. It's stayed with me ever since. It changed everything. And then I didn't know this thing, the custom shop, was a thing where they build these guitars by hand. So I was in love with them. And now, as a guitar dealer, which we've been doing this for quite a few years, longer than I'd like to admit, not that long, but longer than I like to admit, because I'm old now. Working with Fender's been unbelievable. They took us on as a dealer before we were even open. I started working with my person that works there named Frank, and we developed a relationship already. And it's not that easy to be a Fender dealer. It's kind of crazy sometimes. But we developed a great relationship early on, and he brought me into this strange family. And it is that, like, you call Fender Corp, which you think again is a big, I've talked about this in other videos, but you think it's this big, massive corporation. There's literally like a handful of people that work in customer service. You can talk to Derek, you can talk to Tom. They're not only customer service, they do routing and everything. There's like, they are multitask. They're like Windows 98. And then there's then Brian in the custom shop, and then there's Joe, and there's countless people. So there's Andy, the CEO, who, like, you'll see him at like some Fender events, and he's just like one of the guys. He plays guitar. He's really into it. He's a funny, strange guy from that little small island over near Europe. And it's weird, like, they be part of this strange group that it is. Like, I call them, and it's easy to work with them. Anytime we've had an issue, they take care of it immediately. And I feel like they have truly entered their second golden age. Like, this is complete frankness. They are building the best guitars I would say they've ever built in the history of their company. They're being creative. They're having new products come out. That's what you call it in the industry, but I call them new guitars still. So, I mean, the Acoustasonic Telecaster, the Acoustasonic Stratocaster, crazy guitars that came out. They've been sales, like, they've reached new levels of sales. I didn't think they were going to be good guitars when I first heard about them, and they flew me out to see them, and I played them, and I was like, okay, they're pretty amazing. I don't have one yet, because we can't really keep them in stock long enough. And they keep pushing the board, the edge, but they know what the roots are. They make a great Stratocaster, a great Telecaster. They fine-tuned it. They know how to do it on a mass level, but there's still an outrageous amount of handwork on the guitars. If you go to the factory, you'll see that. Of course, there's CNC. That's how you route these machines out. And thank God there is. That's how they make a guitar at this level for this price. It's hard to beat that Player Strat and the Player Tele for under $700. It's a great guitar. It's a great guitar. The American Professional, unbelievable. You're in that sort of like 1,500 range. I'm just sort of averaging us, because then it's probably gonna be more expensive by the time you watch this video, who knows? Or less with what's going on in the world. It's hard to beat that too. Like, you've reached a peak there, then once you get there, you have these like sort of like pop-ups. You can go up to the Ultra, you can go up to the American Original. I love the American Original. It didn't take off across the country like we thought it would, but unbelievable guitar. That's like your entry level to the custom shop. And then you get to the custom shop, oh my gosh. You can build the finest guitar like ever put on earth and have them do whatever the heck you want to do to it. Or just have them build like a classic, like 1957 Stratocaster. Classic burst, classic neck, or get a 1056 neck on it, which I fantasize about. I love those necks. You can do anything, and I would hold it up next to a vintage guitar, and that's a whole other video too. I love the custom shop. They have been unbelievable to work with, a group of unreal nice, skilled craftspeople, and it's small. It's not that big. You go to the factory, it's a separate area. They just build these amazing guitars. Everything's by hand. And then you get to the master building section, and it's another level. And you meet these guys, and it is all guy master builders. We're gonna work on that. But it's the level of what they can do is just insane. And the fact that they are real people that you can literally pick up the phone, send an email to, especially once you're in the queue and you're building a guitar with them. They want to talk to you. They sort of request and require that you talk with them, because their job is to build the guitar for you and not build a guitar that, you know, they think's cool or that they would play. They want to build you an instrument that's perfect. But again, that's a whole other video as well, the custom shop. And subscribe to the channel. We'll talk about that for a bit too. But in summation, my long summation coming up, the second golden age. Fender has been able to create guitars on a level that is from the Squire line that's below $200 all the way up to these crazy pieces that some of them are like hundreds of thousands of dollars that Yuri builds at the master build, like the diamonds and Fabergé eggs and working time explosive, like, I don't know, time machines built into them. To like my favorite new guy, Vincent, to Dale, the king of relics, and to John and Todd and others. I can't say them all. Ron's one of the new guys too. He built like a sports car thing and the Game of Thrones guitars. It's insane. Sports car guitar. Anyway, second golden age. Unbelievable guitars from low to high. I love the history of it. It's one of the most American brands you can possibly ever get. It's like from Buddy Holly, one of my other heroes, to Eric Clapton, to Jimi Hendrix, the birth of rock and roll. When it went over to the UK and all those guys were playing them, unreal. Keith Richards in a Telecaster. Rolling Stones don't exist without it. It's as much a part of my love for music as anything else can be. So that's pretty much why we carry Fender. I would love to hear what you think. Tell us your stories about your favorite Fender, or if you don't like Fender, let me know why. Like, they've had some bad years too. Let's not lie about that. And they make some doozies, but let me hear what you think, in a bad way, but mostly good ways. And just share your stories. I love to, when you'll be talking to me, or you might talk to Derek, you might talk to somebody else, let us know. Subscribe. Thanks for watching. Baxter Casino Guitars, signing out once again. Thanks, Fender.